Coordinator at Family Service of Lake County. Many of you live in Lake County, so you and your neighbors might be eligible for the services of her agency. Family Service of Lake County provides counseling, education, and support services to strengthen individuals and families in need to succeed in school, at work, in relationships, and within the community. And now, here's Linda Foland with the positive effects of music on mood and memory. Linda?
Hello, everybody. It's nice to see a good big group of people out here on a Tuesday afternoon. Like Debbie said, I'm with Family Service. We're an agency in Highland Park. We're not affiliated with the Lake County Health Department or the Lake County government. It's a private agency. It is called Family Service of Lake County. But we do some counseling work. We have a Latino initiative. We do caregiver and senior services. So I do have some information at the end of the presentation to share with you in a brochure that you could take with you if you got the PowerPoint slides that I gave to Debbie. So anyways, how this came about was that Catholic Charities asked Family Service to do a program on music and mood. And so Debbie was part of that small group of people that were in that program. And we had about, I think, five, six, maybe seven at the most people. And it ended up being such an engaging presentation that I think Debbie thought this would be good for your group as well. And we did talk a lot about music. So that's how we got this program today. And I know a lot of people like music. And a lot of people benefit from music in different ways. And I was able to do a little more research since the first presentation, just to learn about how music can actually have therapeutic value and can also help with medical conditions or any type of physical conditions. It helps therapists work with people who have trouble communicating. And it's also being used now to work with Alzheimer's patients or dementia or people who have struggling with memory. And music seems to have the ability to soothe people who may be agitated or to bring back some memories that may have been lost because of the disease. So I have a couple slides about that. The first couple slides are more about the mood, though, the depression. So just some overall positive effects for mood is that throughout history, if you look back, there were in ancient Greece, they used music and certain kinds of symbols and instruments to cure what they believed was mental illness, and they used music as a means to do that. They're also finding out that people actually work more productively when there is some music that maybe they're listening to while they're doing a project, or perhaps at home you're maybe doing some housework or you're driving in your car, and you're listening to some relaxing music or something you really like that you feel engaged with. And it actually can help people get things done and not be so stressed. There's also some information out there in terms of immune functioning and stress levels. And again, they're finding that music can really benefit with your immune system. In terms of music therapy, which would be a licensed musical therapist who uses music in their practice, they find that it's actually really good for anxiety and depression, and also with post-traumatic stress disorder. A lot of folks with PTSD have trouble with connection with their mind and their body and feeling safe, and music can sometimes do that in a therapy session. And also, as I mentioned, with dementia, there are some Alzheimer's patients who they've actually taken a song that they had remembered as a child or a young person, and they put a set of earphones on somebody who really was not communicating at all, and they found the person really just lit up when they heard this music from their childhood, and it really seemed to stimulate their brain. And it was a surprise to the people who were actually doing the experiment. And also with autism, because you probably know kids with autism may have problems with language. And sometimes a good way to communicate with them is through music, nursery rhymes or musical songs that kids can listen to and communicate in some ways. Newer research also about coronary artery disease and stroke and the benefits of music in terms of decreasing anxiety and stress levels, and that may help with heart disease or stroke. Okay, so I see one comment here. I'm just going to take a look and see what we have here. Okay. Okay, so we're being recorded. Okay. So anyways, in terms of the memory, I ask everybody in the presentation, when you listen to a song, what feelings get stirred up for you? You know, sometimes it can be romantic feelings. Sometimes it could be, you know, some sad that brings up a memory for you, and you start to, you know, be really stirred and maybe even get emotional. So if anybody wants to put in the chat box, you know, a song that you hear or comes on the radio, or you might even put it on your iPad, and what is the song and what does it stir up for you? Okay, I do have a slide about what the brain actually happens when you're listening to music, what's being stimulated in the brain, and is the connection between the music and the memory, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then sometimes I say to myself, you know, why is this song or why is this type of music, you know, is it just because I'm feeling like, you know, I like this song, or is there something else inside of me that's being moved by the music? So, you know, if anybody has thoughts about that, let me know, you know, what your experiences are with music and memories and feelings. And again, you can put that in the chat box and we can talk about it as we go along. And there is more research out there to support these connections. They're doing a lot more research, particularly with Alzheimer's and dementia and their positive response to music. Okay, so music therapy is non-invasive, so that's always good. If you're working with somebody in a medical setting or a therapeutic psychiatric intervention with them, you know, anything that's non-invasive can always be good. And it's also established a healthcare intervention similar to a physical therapy or occupational therapy. Art therapy is also becoming more recognized. So it's out there as a way to treat a lot of different things. And there is evidence now that they are doing more studies on how people are able to accomplish their goals in therapy with the help of music. And, you know, they're finding there might be new outcomes from that. You know, if a person is doing well in therapy, you know, and they're using music as a motivator, they might take that into other areas of their life, like exercise or relationships. So there is some more evidence out there, and I think it's going to continue to grow. And also music therapy can also address the physical, psychological, cognitive, and social functioning. And I have another slide that's a little more specific to that, but social functioning can be really helpful for some people who are having anxiety or depression, or for young people. And that's particularly important now because our agency is getting a lot of calls from parents of kids who are really having a tough time with the COVID-19 and the online learning. So, you know, I'm thinking that music is going to be part of the treatment for a lot of these kids who are struggling right now. So let me just take a look at our chat. So the way you do the things you do. Okay, is Jerry in June there to tell us about this song? Do you want to unmute them, Deb? So we...
I unmuted. Nothing, it's just a favorite song of my husband and mine. The kids picked it out for us. It's a lot of fun. It's by the Temptations.
Okay, when did you first hear this, June, you and your
It was our
husband?
25th wedding anniversary.
Okay, that was the
We
first
played
time.
it again on our 50th. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
what do you like about that song?
she says a lot of meaning about how a husband should feel about a wife
Okay,
and vice versa.
okay. Now, is he talking about you or were you talking about him?
I don't know. The kids are probably talking about the two of us and how our relationship is.
Yeah, okay. Is your husband still alive, June?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, do you still listen to the song?
Still listens to the song.
Okay, and do you get emotional or do you feel a little
No,
nice with your husband?
we just sing together.
Okay, yeah, well, that's a nice song. It sounds like an older song.
It is. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, good. Okay, so we'll keep up with the messages in the chat box so we can make this as engaging as possible.
Yeah,
Okay,
people, put your messages in there.
okay, great, and we'll talk more as we go along here. Okay, so we were talking a little bit about music therapy. So this is the slide where I said that when they look at what music does, it's a form of sensory stimulation that provokes responses due to the familiarity, predictability, and feelings of security associated with it. And I think sometimes with a song we liked as a young person, or maybe during a holiday or a family get together, or maybe even time with your friends as a young person or in your marriage or with your kids, you know, those feelings of security can be associated with some type of music. And, you know, that can also, when you hear that song, it takes you back to that time in your life or what you were doing in the, you know, time with your kids or as a teenager or whatnot. So I listen to classical rock when I'm driving in my car, and a lot of times it takes me back to like the 80s when I was in high school, and I just feel a little bit lighter on my feet. So that's my music genre that makes me feel a little bit better. And then in terms of mental health, music again is a way to interact with people, and particularly with people who are having trouble with communication and expression. That could be again somebody with post-traumatic stress disorder who really has a tough time putting into words, you know, what they're feeling, and how to express that and how to do that and feel safe. So music again is a tool that can be used, and similar to like art therapy, and sometimes people would be giving a pad and a pencil or some markers and they'd be able to put on paper, you know, some feelings that they're feeling inside but can't really safely say that. So that's a way that therapists can work with that. And even at times, you know, when you're at home and you might be feeling a little blue, sometimes you can put on some music and it could actually make you feel better. Or perhaps if you're watching a movie and a song might be part of that soundtrack. And a lot of times that kind of reels us into like liking the movie or liking a program because we hear this music and we recognize it. So there's a lot of newer shows on, and there's new movies, and a lot of good music out there that they're putting on the soundtracks for some movies. So if anybody has a movie they like and they like the soundtrack with it, let me know and we can talk about that. In therapy sessions with music, sometimes that might involve like actually somebody making music. You know, they might have some instruments. Sometimes with younger kids, you might have a box, you know, of some sticks or a drum or cymbals, or anything that you can use to make music with, a bell. And, you know, whatever that person picks up and, you know, whatever they're using to make music and to soothe themselves, you know, that could be a benefit from them. And as a therapist, you might be looking out for listening for certain symbols or, you know, certain themes from your clients. And also that can lead to discussions about what a person might be struggling with. So always good to know that there's that kind of therapy out there. Okay, so FY song is from June. Okay, my son was a DJ at the time and knew many rock and roll. Okay, June, is your son still a DJ? She says no. But I bet you he had a lot of good music to share with you.
We did.
Okay, did he work at a club, June, or like parties and stuff?
Parties. He worked for A to Z, so he did a lot of bar mitzvah.
Okay, all right. Well, I would bet that he
He's an old man now.
okay, but he probably still knows those songs though.
Oh yeah.
You have to be pretty familiar with a lot of music to be a DJ.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so these are just a couple different types of sound therapy or music therapy. One is guided meditation, and I'm seeing more and more out there about meditation. And a lot of times if anybody takes yoga classes or goes to a yoga studio, they have some part of that is like a guided meditation. They might use a gong. I think it's called a gong, that they would hit at the end of the yoga session. And it's supposed to bring some calming to you at the end of your yoga work there. And I personally like that sound at the end because I feel like the yoga was really restorative to me. And, that's just kind of a way of like just relaxing at the end of the yoga session. There is more neurological music therapy. And sometimes that might be used before or after surgery. And they found that exposing somebody in a recovery room to some music actually had better outcomes and reduced pain medication or use of pain medication after a surgery. And that would be combined with the normal traditional care, but also the music just added to that recovery. And then Brainwave Entertainment. This is more of a newer kind of approach, and what they're doing is stimulating brain waves and into specific states and using pulsing to align the brain waves. And I don't know a lot about the science behind that, but I do know that they're doing more with brain waves and brain stimulation. So let me see, we have somebody here in our chat room. Okay. My cell phone ring is George Strait singing "I Crossed My Heart." It was a love song, and I danced with this at his wedding in 1999. Okay. Does Faye want to talk about this song by George Strait?
Okay. I danced with my son at my son and daughter-in-law's wedding to that song, and it was a very happy time.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted it on my cell phone as my ringtone because after that, a whole bunch of people in our immediate family died, and this brought back good memories.
Okay, all right. Now, how did your son choose this song here?
Well, we like country music, and my husband and I and my son, and when he and my daughter-in-law were planning the wedding, I asked if they could play that song, and they did.
So how did you feel when you were dancing there? Did you get emotional, or did you feel?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Because
Okay.
it's a love song.
Okay.
It's I crossed my heart and promised to love you forever kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you still like that song.
Because that's how my phone rings if it,
Okay. It's still ringing with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And within 18 months, we had lost like 5 immediate family members.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear.
And that was something to think positive about. So.
Okay. So that has a lot of meaning to you.
And I also was going to tell you, I have a granddaughter who has ADHD and apraxia, and she's on the autism spectrum. And she's had OTPT, speech behavioral therapy. But the thing that got her really moving was music, because she started to sing nursery rhymes and songs finally. And that was how she finally started to speak.
Oh, wonderful. Now, are you able to see her when she's listening to music to see how she?
Sometimes.
Okay. And it must be really rewarding to watch that.
Yes, it is. And even in school, they suddenly noticed she was singing. So then she's starting to talk more and more.
Yeah, wonderful.
Took her a good 6 years to get words out.
Okay, so that's evidence right there that, this is something new and it's really helping these kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I think that's really positive to hear.
You're welcome.
Okay. So I'm just wondering that I'm just going to close my door if you give me 1 minute. I just have to close my office door here. Okay, sorry about that. Has anybody done yoga or meditation and wanted to share their experience with that? I know there's a lot more, like I said, yoga and meditation is becoming a lot more popular. So if you have, some experience with that and you want to share, let me know. We can talk about that. Okay, so again, I was asking for music or songs that provoke feelings in you. And if anybody just wants to put up a song or two in the chat box, just that they like it and they would want somebody else to hear it, just again, feel free to share that and we can, everybody can see what the other songs that people like. Okay. Some of the positive outcomes again is enhancing your awareness of yourself and your environment. And, sometimes when you're engaged in listening to a song, or listening to some music, a certain genre of music that you like, it can actually help you to focus a little bit better on what you're doing or what you're watching if this music's in the background, and gives you a little bit more maybe picking up on details that you normally wouldn't because you're liking what you're hearing. So something, that would be positive from listening to music and to songs you like. Again, coping and relaxation is always important, particularly, with the stress in the world right now. And I know everything's been kind of shut down for the last year, but with things reopening, I would imagine that stress levels are going to go up again, and also just people learning to reintegrate themselves, and being out of the house is probably going to increase people's stress more. So keep in mind that maybe using music and listening to music might help with that. Healthy feelings and thoughts, and again, if you have good feelings around music and with songs, that again would support those healthy feelings by going back and remembering them, or even hearing new songs. I wouldn't limit it to just what you know, but there are other things out there. Improve concentration and attention span. And just like our last, the last person in the chat box mentioned with her granddaughter, that, this is helping with some ADHD and autistic spectrum disorders, and helping this young person communicate. Also reality testing and problem solving skills. Reality testing might be for somebody who has more of a neurological condition, or maybe a psychotic type of disorder, but certainly does help with problem skills and problem solving. And again, I want to use our young people as a group of people who are going to benefit from this, particularly coming out of the COVID-19 and the schooling issues. Any questions? Okay, has anybody ever heard of the Mozart effect? Okay, so this was pretty popular, I believe, in the early 90s. And you probably saw pictures of a woman who was pregnant and she was putting earphones on her stomach as a way to enhance the baby's intelligence. So they actually did some studies around this Mozart effect. It's a theory that listening to the music of Mozart may temporarily boost scores on the portion of an IQ test. And they claim that it might make you smarter, and that children exposed to classical music had a beneficial effect on their mental development. That has not actually been scientifically proven, but they do say that just listening to music and a variety of musics certainly can't hurt anybody. I think there's a lot of really wonderful classical music out there and composers that, you know, just are nice to listen to and to realize how far back music goes and the beauty of it. So, and again, for kids, I think that's just a good thing for them to learn about and to utilize, you know, music as part of their education. This is a little bit more about the Alzheimer's disease, the dementia, the caregiving. And for anybody here who's a caregiver, I don't know if they'd want to share their experiences or the stress of being a caregiver. But in this information I looked up about Alzheimer's and dementia, they said also if you're a caregiver and you have significant amount of stress and anxiety, it could benefit you as well, you know, or connecting with the person who you're caring for has the Alzheimer's or dementia, you know, and not even limited to that. It might be somebody with Parkinson's disease or possibly cancer, other conditions. But as a caregiver, that can be very stressful. So remember that, you know, not only the person you're taking care of, but yourself, you need ways to reduce anxiety and distress. For the Alzheimer's or dementia patients, they do find that it does reduce agitation, which can be very important. For some cases with Alzheimer's, some people might develop something called sundowners. And that would be an increase in agitation as the day starts to wind down and they notice that people become more irritable and agitated at that time. And that's related to the dementia. So that, again, music can be used in there as well. Okay, so I just put up a couple songs that I had picked out before. One is Walking on Sunshine, which has always been, to me, a positive song. In the summertime, I think it's fun to listen to. And then there's the other one, the classic one by the Beatles, Here Comes the Sun. And then some days, if you're out on a Monday and you have to go to work, you might put on Monday, Monday by the Mamas and Papas. And then I think it's Marvin Gaye who said, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And this, I think, is just generally a positive and very inspirational song. And I hear this a lot, you know, if at a graduation or, you know, something where kids or, you know, even adults can overcome certain difficulties. And then Wouldn't It Be Nice by the Beach Boys. And again, that's a classic one. So anybody else want to put something on the playlist here? Okay, so here I'm just,
Motown.
What's that, Deb?
Anything Motown.
Motown, okay. I'm not sure if I can write that in there, but I will put it in the slide for a future presentation here. This is Lake County, Illinois, and there is a health department crisis line. So if you happen to know anybody who is in like acute mental health crisis, the number is 847-377-8088. And there are crisis counselors available there 24 hours a day. They can walk you through the difficulty, whether it's with you or a family member or somebody you love, and, you know, how to give you some direction on maybe managing the crisis situation, because a lot of times people don't know what to do at moments like that, where somebody they love might be, you know, in the midst of a really deep depression or might have symptoms of bipolar disorder and they need some intervention. So this is a good resource to have for that. The Illinois Warm Line, this is for somebody who might have some more chronic mental illness symptoms. And some of the clients I work with chronic mental illness, I give them this phone number to use at times between sessions where they might need somebody just to call and talk to. This is not an intervention so much as it's just a friendly call to somebody who's going to listen to you. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline. This is the national number. I do believe there's one in Lake County as well, but you could go to the national line and they would direct you to your area with this number. And then the National Alliance of Mental Illness, there is a chapter in Lake County. And I do believe they're having virtual meetings now, but you could call 847-249-1515 or look on the website, and they probably would give you the information for whatever locality you're in for these meetings. And they're all over the country, and they're great support to families with somebody who has a mental illness. Any questions? Okay, so then this is just some general information about music therapy. There's these fact sheets, and it's more research on music and music therapy. This is music and movement and medicine. This is more specific to Parkinson's dementia. And oh, it's actually a book. I take that back. And it's available on Amazon or at the library, and talks about, how music can help with those conditions. This is another book. This is Your Brain on Music, and it probably deals with more of the science behind music and the effect on the brain, for somebody who likes to read more about the scientific side of things. And again, these www.musictherapy.org, they have some personal stories, and they're from all different areas, somebody with a brain injury, adolescents, adults, and elderly people or disabilities. So they're just nice to read, to know that people have benefited from music. And then finally, this is my contact information. Our office is in Highland Park. All of our sessions with our clients are either virtual or telehealth right now. And we're hoping to get back to the office by September if things have pretty much cleared up with COVID-19. And then my cell phone number, 847-766-2897 if you wanted to reach me. And Deb also has my email address if anybody wanted to email me. These are two of the flyers from our agency. We have a grant with Age Guide, which used to be the Area Agency on Aging, and there's some funds for relatives who are raising children. And a lot of these are from grandparents who are raising grandkids, and they've had to take over that responsibility because the kids can't do it. So there's some funding there to help these grandparents with buying furniture for the kids, getting them involved in activities in school, being on a sports team. So there's some funding there. And the person in our office is Linda Maggot, and her information is here at the bottom. If you know anybody who would benefit from those services, a grandparent, working with a grandkid. And then our counseling services, we work with 8 and older. Kids have to be at least 8 years old, and we work all the way into the 90s. I had a client once who was 100 years old, and she did some counseling with us for a while. I also have people in their 90s who I've worked with. We have a caregiver support group that meets twice a month at the Patty Turner Center in Deerfield. And that's going to be open up to in-person meetings, and that's for caregivers who are struggling with caregiving. For our counseling services, we have a grant that pays for any out-of-pocket cost of the counseling. So if you have Medicare and you have a deductible, you won't have to make any payments to us or any co-pays. Those services are covered with this additional grant money and through Medicare. So all the information is down here at the bottom. And again, the other slide has my information. So feel free to reach out if you or anybody you know would benefit from any of the services we have. Any questions?
It's only for people that live in Lake County, right?
We could work with somebody in Cook County. The grant for a copay or a deductible, though, wouldn't apply for somebody in Cook County. It would have to be a Lake County resident. Yeah, Medicare, we do accept Medicare as payment. I think Medicare covers about 60% of counseling. So there, if you were in Cook County, you would have to make the copay. And we accept other private insurance as well.
Did
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Deb.
did you want to use your Spotify?
I could try. I have trouble getting the list up there, but you know what? Could I send you the link, Debbie, to share with people?
Okay, because I'm going to send them afterwards. I'll send them all of the, the email that you sent me. I'll forward it to everybody.
Okay, yeah, I'll put the playlist in there. I put together a Spotify playlist just with some songs I was listening to when I did the first presentation for Catholic Charities. And does anybody have Spotify? Do they ever use that service to come up with a playlist? I like it because you can put in a song you like, and then it kind of directs you to other songs that are along that same genre. And then they kind of match you with a song or match a song to what your interests are. So that's fun. And I don't think the cost is too high. I think it might be about $9.99 a month for the subscription.
You're younger than we are, so maybe it's a generational thing.
Yeah, there's another one. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. It's similar to that, though. You pick out one song that you like, and it gives you about 3 other songs that might be similar to that. I can't remember the name. Well, I want to thank everybody for being part of today's program, and I hope it was helpful or beneficial to people, and you learned a little bit more about music, and you think a little bit more about music when you go out on your walk today or get in your car.
Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and enjoy the day, and hopefully spring is, going to come back here, and we're all going to be out in the summer doing things we like.
And we'll listen to music while we do whatever we're doing.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I will send the playlist to you, Deb, and again, thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.